My name is Jason Cornett. I'm an investigator here with Appalachian State University Police. We are in the preliminary stages of working on getting a SUAS or drone policy into place and a program into place. So we're kind of excited about that. So this is kind of timely that we're talking about this here today. I'm a certified pilot. I've went through the FAA Part 107 training. Also have my daylight waiver so I can fly after hours. I've equipped my drone with lights that allows me to do that and taken the necessary training to do that. So we're excited about being able to talk about this here today.
Perfect. So what exactly does the department have to do to get access to drones?
It comes down usually, like we've talked about before, money is one of the big things, budgeting, being able to have a policy that's going to be able to cover the necessary things that we're doing. Also, the training that has to be, the Part 107, insurances, those things that has to be in line for your liability purposes.
Great. What are the biggest benefits of having a drone?
A few things that we're looking at, the avenue that we're taking it from. I'm doing a PowerPoint presentation on this currently, but to start off with a few things that we've looked at and explored here recently is in the case of missing persons, it's a valuable tool to have. Don't have to wait on the helicopters arriving or anything like that. You've got something that you can take off immediately. Also looking at equipping our drone with FLIR, also a camera that can be focused in, zoomed in, so you don't have to be so close to your what you're filming. You can actually be able to look at it from a distance and do that. Weather events here in the mountains, your snow, water, flooding, windstorms, different things that we've encountered and we've actually used in recent months, or actually in the last year, photographs that were taken, videos that were taken to use to assess by FEMA, so they can kind of see the amount of damage that we have. Damage assessments, large event survey. If you have maybe a protest or something large scale that's going on, you need to be able to cover a lot of ground quickly so we can get our services there. In the event that we have a fleeing inmate, we've had that happen from the county agency. Just about used that one time, but they were able to get him into custody before we actually used it. Again, civil disturbance, protest survey, general patrol of the area. Campus now, or university property now, is over 1,800 square miles. So the ability to be able to fly that versus foot patrol, bike patrol, vehicle patrol that we currently have, I think it'd be serve a great purpose for that. Not only for university purposes, but for other agencies. We've been in contact with others, and they said that we're going to be their first call of contact. Also general maintenance, site survey, if we have issues that we need to inspect a building or see something that's going on, something questionable, we'll be able to do that. And this also is one of my favorite. App State is an innovator of service, and it would be actually the owner of the drone itself. It wouldn't be a private owner. We wouldn't have to outsource it. It's going to be something owned by the university if it works out for us, and so we're hoping that we can get this program up and running soon.
Thank you. So are there any disadvantages or common misconceptions about police using drones?
I think there's misconceptions, and basically it kind of boils down to privacy. I think people see that as someone being potentially using it to spy on them or what have you. My response to that is I have a lot invested in this personally. When I look at my licensure, when I look at my own drone, when I look at my insurances, when I look at everything I paid into it, I don't want to do anything to lose that. And I don't know of any privacy issues that's happened locally. Again, there's not a lot of licensed pilots that I know here in this area, so I think maybe it's still relatively new here, but I don't know of any known issues that's going on. But I think it's a misconception that it's just a tool to spy on someone when that's not the case.
Can you talk about the legality of civilian use and what problems they cause for the police?
Absolutely. What you have is basically a two-pronged way of doing business here. You have your hobbyists who are not held to the same standard or as high of a standard as commercial or governmental pilots are held to. That can lead to problems because if they are not educated enough on where to fly, how to fly, the the realm that they're supposed to fly in, they can find themselves in a place they're not supposed to be in, and that's just not well. Even a hobbyist would still be liable if something were to happen, if they were to cause a crash, if they were to cause helicopter crash, airplane crash, vehicle crash, it'd still be held liable. But then, it's a little bit different for commercial pilots because they have to go through, get the licensure. It's the Part 107 that the FAA actually puts on, and to be able to sell your photographs, your videos, to be able to use it for even YouTube videos, anything that you use a drone for that actually brings money back into your company, a YouTube channel, what have you, you have to have that Part 107. And I think some people try to work their way around that, but basically by the law, there's no way around it. I think real estate agents really look into it a lot. I think it's a really good tool for them. I try to work with them as well. So it's just being able to, ignorance is not an excuse, just being able to know what the laws are.
Right, and I know you listen to the benefits, but what do you think the department would use it the most for?
I think really the things that we'd see the most would be for assessment of damages on campus, campus properties, missing persons. Anytime that we have a report of a missing person and we have the last known location that they would have been at or located at, I think we would start a search of that area to try to get that going. If fleeing inmates, we don't deal with that so much, but I know from time to time, if one does get loose and it's a potential threat to the campus, we would try to monitor that situation. Potentially, I don't know, maybe for a football game day or if we had a protest, I think it would be good to be able to use that where you can monitor the crowd, and that way you can know where to put your resources. I could see some of those things being probably the most beneficial.
Great, thank you. And then anything else that you want to say to kind of condone?
Yeah, I think it is one of the most unique tools and one of the most fascinating hobbies I've ever been a part of. I started doing this in 2016. I'm approaching my second year, my first full year of actually being a pilot, and the pros so far weigh out the cons. As long as people, like most anything else, as long as people are being responsible, they're abiding by the laws, even if a hobbyist, if it's a person that's only a hobbyist, they're just, line of sight is probably one of the biggest things that I would recommend for anyone flying. Always operate within line of sight. You get out of line of sight, you never know what's around the hill, a helicopter or something. So flying responsibly, knowing that this is a wonderful hobby and it's also a wonderful business, a wonderful tool, and just respecting it as such, and not just thinking it's a toy and getting out and hurting somebody.
Perfect, thank you.
No problem.